When you think of successful 21-year-olds in the sports media space, you think of Buster Scher. Buster Scher joins the podcast. We talked about his podcast, The Buster Show. He's interviewed Jerry West, Dwight Howard, Clyde Frazier, Mike Breen, and so many others. We talk about his favorite interview. He hosted a show in the Crew League with Drewski. Hilarious story with that. And he has his own Instagram pages, Hoops Nation, which has 1 million followers. And he also has Cards Nation, which talks about selling, buying, collecting sports cards and Pokemon cards, all that kind of stuff. And we also talked about his NFT collection. He has all this going on, 21 years old. Everyone watching and listening, maybe you have to rethink your life. This kid is killing it. So without further ado, let's have this interview with Buster right now. Today's guest, we have Buster Scher. Buster is the founder of Hoops Nation. He is also the founder of Cards Nation, and he is the host of The Buster Show. Buster, thanks for joining me, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Buster, dude, we were just talking off air for a second. You are 20 years old. To 21. Put that in 21 now, because I saw your Clubhouse profile, it said 20, so I just kind of assumed. But now you're legally allowed to drink, so congratulations on that. But for the fact that you're 21 and you have done all these amazing things, growing a couple platforms, your podcast is blown up, you've interviewed some crazy people. Have you had the opportunity to kind of sit down and take it all in for the fact of how much stuff you've actually done?
I just edited my Clubhouse bio.
Got it. Perfect.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I've always just done what I've enjoyed, but it is crazy to think that I'm now coming up on 10 years in the industry, because I started posting on Facebook as a media account when I was 12, 13 years old. So 2012, 2013. And that is sort of mind boggling because I started taking it really seriously in 2015, 16. But no, man, you know, I always look at everything when it comes to work, not work. You want to create so many memories that you can't even remember them all. And that's sort of the place that I feel. And thankfully, a lot of it, because of social media and YouTube and things like that, have been very well recorded. But that should be everybody's goal, in my opinion, just create so many memories that you can't even remember them all. And that fortunately, that's how I feel.
With your experience, being that you're 21 and you've had now about a decade in the industry, you know what? You didn't live like a normal kid. I'm sure you had your moments of being a kid, going to the pool, hanging out with friends, doing, things as a 15-year-old would do. But I did my research. You'd be up till 1, 2 in the morning doing your work, covering the NBA, finishing those West Coast games, and then you got to wake up at 7 for school. So how did you balance? Now you're a little different. You're a little older now, so you balance a little different. But when you were coming up through the ranks, how did you balance that work life and school lifestyle? Because I'm sure your parents were very, supportive, but also were like, hey, Buster, you got to focus on school too. But I'm sure you didn't want that.
I think if I could have accomplished it with balance, a lot more people would have done it at that age too, but there was zero balance. I knew that I wasn't a good student. I knew that because I switched schools when I was young too, so I didn't have that many friends when I first joined, and I never drank. I wasn't even really interested. I liked girls, but they didn't like me. So that was never
That's all of us young guys, man.
That was never a distraction for me. So I was able to head down, do the work, and even for I can give you an example, because I was doing sports broadcasting in high school, instead of like hanging out with the kids when they're like going past the beach and like going to the games, going crazy in the stands, like I'm broadcasting the games. Nobody's listening, but I'm still broadcasting the game. So
I feel you, dude.
I'm getting, those reps in that experience. And then, we're doing the post game while they're already at the party. And then I go home and cover the NBA. And that was my life. I went to 4 parties in high school, drank at 2 of them, and that was like, I can count on my hand how many parties I went to in all of high school on one hand. And I had good memories there too. Like, there are funny stories that I can tell you if you want to dive deeper into that, but like there was no balance. I punted everything that wasn't working.
When you are 17 and 16, 15 years old, you're trying to find yourself, but you are already deep into that. And the media, I'm sure, respects the hustle. Everyone has to understand eventually what the hustle means. And you hustling and getting it done is extremely inspiring for me, as I'm going to be turning 27 on Thursday. I've been doing this for about 10 years as well. Thank you, man. And I've worked my tail off as well. So from one guy to another in this business, I appreciate the hustle because it ain't easy out here. And even for people like yourself who's already had a lot of success, you are still hustling and making it, and making each content and all the content you can. And especially from your podcast, you've interviewed the biggest names in the NBA, players, and then also retired players. Now, I'm going to rattle off some names. You have Jerry West, Clyde Frazier, Dwight Howard, Kelly Oubre, freaking Mike Brown. If you're a Knicks fan, I know you are. Clyde Frazier and Mike Brown are Mike Breen, excuse me, are all-time interviews for you, I'm sure. But which one was the best for you? I think maybe Jerry West would be up there as well.
Oh, Mike Breen, no question. I grew up a broadcaster, so he's
Right.
been my idol more than LeBron has or Carmelo Anthony. When I started my podcast, I had 3 names on the list: President Obama, Kobe
Okay.
Bryant, and Mike Breen.
Interviewing Mike Breen for yourself as a young broadcaster has had to been a huge moment for yourself. And, I'm sure he gave you all the stories, and even on and off the air, he told you probably some crazy stories, and also understanding the business itself. From a guy like myself in this business, I would love the opportunity to interview a guy like Breen. I interview guys like Scott Hansen, some TV guys, which I learned a little bit on and off the air from our interviews. But those are the experiences that you can't like make that up. And the fact you at a young age you get to experience some of these big interviews, it's got to be so rewarding. But also it has to be like, all right, now I have to do more. Like I need to do more and interview the bigger ones. Like, I mean, freaking Barack Obama is up there. That's a huge guess you have to get.
100%. Yeah, man. It's all reps. Something. You know, with that sort of stuff, there is no goal. Like I didn't start it with a goal. I started it just because I wanted to do it, and the enjoyment of doing it is the reward in itself. And sure, there are business aspects that, like if you want to get a bigger set, it needs to make money, and like there are things
Yeah,
like that. But that was never, a focus, especially during COVID, right? You can just do it from your computer,
just
and
do it.
anybody just can text somebody and you're doing a podcast 15 minutes later. You hit me up for this 2 days ago, and like here we are. So, you know,
Yeah.
the landscape has totally changed. But yeah, in terms of being able to get guys like that on, it's definitely really special, and I don't take it for granted at all. But uh yeah, just the lessons learned. And my favorite part about it is that I get to share it with everybody else, right?
Right.
Everything I learned, anybody can learn because it's public. So, and I asked him very personal, like advice. Like I asked him because like for the crew league, which I'm sure we'll talk about, I call 8 games in 2 days and I lose my voice every single day. How do I not do that? And he told me, he's like, tea with honey and like some other tips, but these are like it's real advice right there from a legend. So, definitely remember that stuff.
Yeah, why don't we just jump into the crew league right now? You were a host for this exclusive basketball league with some of the biggest celebrities, performing artists. I mean, you were there with some of the bigger names. And alongside with you is one of the more, I guess I'd say the most popular internet social media comedian maybe comedian in general for our generation is Drewski. I mean, one of the funnier guys on the internet. I cannot wait when he puts a skit out on Twitter. I mean, it's so relatable. It's hilarious. What was it like working with him during those 2 days or 3 days you were there for the crew league? And then you had guys like Jack Harlow hopping on. So give me the story of working with him.
Yeah, so season one, Drewski co-hosted. He did color, and we had 24K Golden as well, who's awesome. And then I did the play-by-play for season one, and Harlow was actually playing in it. So he had a team in season one for his label, and he really brought his homies to play in that season. And it was fun. Drewski is the funniest person in the world, and he's like that on camera, he's like that off camera, you just can't turn it off. And season two, Drewski co-hosted, and then Jack actually co-hosted with us season two. And it was even more fun because of the dynamic that those guys have together. I mean, there's a reason that it trends on social media when they post stuff together. Their chemistry is great, and I was just happy to third wheel it.
Now, when you have to balance off of Drewski's personality and then you have Jack Harlow coming on a year later, how did you manage, not to step on someone like, Drewski might have a bit or might have like get a one liner out there to make, have a joke. You got to find your place as a play by play guy to not step on his toes. Usually it's the other way around. The color is not going to want to step on the play by play's toes. How did you manage that? And what was your biggest learning experience working with some of the bigger celebrities and big entertainers?
The benefit that we had in season two was that it wasn't live. So season one was live streamed, even though the thing that most people saw was the edited version. There was a live version that was on TikTok, and we had tens of thousands of people watching live. We didn't prep for it. Like we didn't test shoot it. We just jumped in.
Right.
Drew and I, game one, the crew league has never existed before, and we just did it. And it went, but it got a lot better, throughout season one and season two. We all had so much time. He had infinite time to say things because we're sitting there for 2 days. He got out all the one-liners he wanted to. And my job is to just call the games when they're happening and make them comfortable. And that was easy because they're already so comfortable to begin with.
Now you are an NBA specialist. That is your sport. That is your thing. Isn't it funny looking back when you were, 13, 14, 15, that like, hey, not a lot of people are watching and I'm just going to do it because I love it. And then you fast forward a half a decade later, now you're calling basketball games with some of the bigger celebrities out there today. When you look back now, it's like, how satisfying is it to see the hard work paying off? Because a lot of kids don't get it. They don't get that you're going to put in a shit ton of work and no one's going to watch your stuff, but it's going to pay off at the end. Was there moments sitting there with Drewski and Jack Harlow in season two, or even season one with just Drewski? They were like, this is exactly what I want to do.
I've thought that, never while we're shooting it. I have taken moments, even in season three that we just finished filming, and episode one comes out mid-February. I have taken moments for sure, but I'm so focused on, doing the best job I can from like,
Right.
because I'm the only person that's prepping. These other guys just show
Oh,
up.
interesting. They're just showing up.
If you watch it, I know everybody's names. I know their backgrounds.
I see all the paperwork out. You're ready to go.
Everybody else is just showing up. So I'm putting in a lot of prep work, and I, so the crazy thing about the crew league, which is why it's the most difficult broadcasting job anybody could ever do, and why I'm grateful that I got the opportunity, is I didn't have people's jersey numbers until the game started.
Oh my God.
The first 5 minutes of every game where a team's playing for the first time and before, I'm running around talking to the coaches, getting everybody's names. Like, I have some research, but not all of it.
Jeez,
so I'm
man.
like on the job. Nobody knows this stuff, but I'm on the job doing that. And then I go back to the desk and Drewski's like, why you running around, Buster? But yeah, it's really fun.
I guess that's a great learning experience for you on the job early on. So when you do hit it big calling Nick games, when Breen's out of there, you're calling Nick games, you can have a sigh of relief. It's like, all right, now I know all the information. Don't have to run around and
It'll be a cakewalk. I have
cakewalk.
somebody in my ear, like,
Yeah, yeah,
come
the
on.
IFB in there. You're good. You're good.
It's the same guys every day. Also, these are not in the crew league. It's like their friends and
Oh yeah,
assistants.
they're friends from high school are coming out. You have no.
Yeah,
All right, now since I have a little background, I feel so bad for you, but look, you killed it. But I do want to end this podcast with a conversation about your sports cards obsession and also NFTs. I have just gotten into the NFT world. I know I'm about a year late, like I usually am with just about everything, but I'm realizing how important NFTs are. And I looked up, you got yourself a little NFT collection, which I might have to dabble into. I might have to buy one of those for you. But what what are you more obsessed with more? The sports card Pokemon collection selling and trading or the NFTs now? Because the NFTs is a brand new world for everybody.
when it comes to other people's NFTs versus cards and collectibles, it's cards and collectibles. But when it comes to
Really?
my NFT project, it's a business now.
Right.
It's called the Buster Show utility mics, and the reason it's called that is because we provide utility for people. Like we dropped them at 0.05 ETH, so they were about $200 when we
Sure.
first dropped. And immediately, first thing we did was send out packages with $100 to $200 worth in assets. So we gave everybody's money right back off the bat to prove that we were in it for the long run, A, and
Wow.
B, that we were going to, everything we got, we were going to give right back to the community. And that's how you prove that it's not what's called a rug pull in NFT land.
Right.
And that's why they're now up 10x.
Dude, that is genius. I mean, I don't know if that was your idea or your manager, whoever you're working with, whoever's idea it was, brilliant. Because that is the exact thing that I'm looking at. When you try buying NFTs, you want to know who's the artist, what's their background, are they passionate, are they in for the long haul, or are they just trying to make a quick buck? And you have to add all those things in. But now that if you have the story that you're giving it back, the money back because you were in it for the long haul, and 10 years from now when you're the next bored ape and you're making $100,000 an NFT, you can see why. I mean, that's crazy.
I appreciate that, man. And my podcast, look, I always say this, I might sell Hoops Nation, I might sell Cards Nation, I might sell Travel Nation, I might sell any of the media outlets that I own. I probably will at some point. But the one thing I'll never make an exit on is my personal brand. And my
Right.
podcast is my personal brand. I can't sell it. Nobody else is me. Nobody else is you. You can't sell your podcast. It doesn't work like that. So if I were not me and I saw that, I would be pretty interested. And that's
Right.
sort of what I wanted to create with real utility. And there's so many things we're working on. Like we plan on, once securities laws allow, giving a percentage of royalty from AdSense. When I have collaborations with companies and when I invest in companies, getting their products to all of the holders, things
Sure.
like that, and obviously they're more expensive now. I think like the cheapest mic is like $1,000 now, but
It's crazy, man.
you know, getting, making the utility match up to that. That's always my goal. And, and that doesn't stop for the people who bought in at the beginning. They're going to keep getting stuff. I plan on doing mail packages like quarterly forever. So, like, dude, it's going to be insane. Yeah.
I have the understanding now of what it takes. So congratulations, man. You are a busy man, Buster. I really appreciate you coming on. Plug all your socials, plug the podcast, plug whatever you want. The floor is yours.
We already did. That was what this whole conversation was. I've already been
Well,
plugged. There's
all
nothing left
right.
to plug.
Nothing left to plug. Okay. I know. Yeah, we talked about it, but I usually let the last word to be
I know.
from my guest.
I'm just messing with you, and to make people think about what those are, so that they can go follow them.
That's right. All right, Buster. Appreciate you coming on, man. And hopefully I'll be in another clubhouse soon, and hopefully I can have you back on for maybe a little longer and not as many tech issues next time.
Thanks, man.